Hello everyone, welcome back to another video of my opinions about classical music. If you are an old viewer, welcome back. If you're a new viewer, welcome. I'd be very happy if you wanted to subscribe and also remember to like this video. Today though, I have a special treat for all of you. About a week ago I received this puzzle in the mail. And it is ClassicFM's Great Composers Limited Edition puzzle. I actually purchased this myself for 25 Great Britain pounds. And all profits goes to ClassicFM's charity Globals Make Some Noise. And no, this is not a paid sponsorship or anything like that. I am making this video on completely my own accord. If I'm completely honest, I just really love the design of the puzzle. So, as a puzzle lover and a classical music lover, of course I had to give my opinion on it. I'll start by giving you some quick facts about the composers on the puzzle, and then I'll go through the details. So, starting from the top left, we have our most famous composer in my opinion, and that is of course Beethoven. Beethoven was a German composer born in 1770, and he famously became deaf at the end of his life. He's composed some great works, including 9 symphonies that I really like, as well as a bunch of other music. We like Beethoven. Sadly, he passed away in 1827. Next up is another famous composer, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He's an Austrian composer born in 1756. He is the OG child prodigy and knew how to play the keyboard and compose at a really young age, starting composing at the age of 5. He's composed a bunch of different music, including solo works and symphonies and operas, and of course his very famous Requiem, which he didn't finish himself. Sadly though, he passed away in 1791. After Mozart, we have a great composer that I actually had never heard of before, Samuel Coleridge Taylor. Coleridge Taylor was born in 1875 in London, England. In the early 1900s, he went on 3 tours of the United States, where he became known among white New York musicians as the African Mahler. Now, I think Mahler is great, but Samuel Coleridge Taylor, his works are even better. Let's just say there's probably a reason why Samuel Coleridge Taylor is on this puzzle and Mahler is not. He is also the man behind our current background music. We are hearing 4 Novelletten for String Orchestra, Opus 52, and it is the second movement, Larghetto. Very sadly though, Coleridge Taylor died at 37 of pneumonia. Moving on, we are coming to Clara Schumann, the wife of Robert Schumann, who I talked about last week. Schumann was born in 1819 in Germany and is actually the second child prodigy on this puzzle. She was a pianist and started touring at age 11 and enjoyed a 61-year concert career. So let's just say she was an amazing pianist. In my opinion, her works for piano are also her best compositions. I could be dipping into her relationship with Brahms, but I probably won't. Look that up yourself, it's very interesting. But anyway, she sadly died in 1896 at age 76. Next to Schumann, we find Handel. Handel was born in Germany in 1685. Handel moved to London in 1712, and he's a Baroque composer, and he's very known for his operas, oratorios, anthems, concerto grossi, and organ concertos. Among works he has composed is the oratorio Messiah and music for the Royal Fireworks, where 12,000 people attended the first performance. In 1750, on a journey back from Germany to London, he was seriously injured in a carriage accident, and this later caused him to become blind. Sadly, he died in 1759. After Handel, we have the first Williams on the list. Ralph Vaughan Williams. Vaughan Williams was an English composer born in 1872. My favorite work made by Vaughan Williams is The Lark Ascending for violin. Some of you may have heard it, it's really beautiful. He also composed 9 symphonies, just like Beethoven did. Sadly though, he passed away in August of 1958, aged 85. Now let's jump back to below Beethoven, and there is Bach. Do I really need to tell you guys about Bach? He was born in 1685 in Germany. Let's not make a drinking game out of every time there's a German composer. He's known for so much, I don't even know where to start. If you're a music student, you probably know about 4-part harmony. If you're a pianist, you may know the Well-Tempered Clavier. Maybe you know the Brandenburg Concertos. If you're an organist, Toccata and Fugue in D minor. There's so much stuff. He is the father of Western art music, no doubt. He was also literally a father of a bunch of children. 4 of them later became composers: Carl Philipp Emanuel, Wilhelm Friedmann, Johann Christoph Friedrich, and Johann Christian. And Bach died in 1750, marking the end of the Baroque era. Next up is Tchaikovsky. He was born in 1840 and he is a Russian composer. He was gay, which at the time wasn't really great. He did try to marry a few women, but it obviously didn't work out. Tchaikovsky is probably the most known for his ballets, but my personal favorite work by him is his violin concerto. And sadly, he died in 1893. After Tchaik, we have the Czech composer Dvořák. He was born in 1841, and according to Wikipedia, he displayed his musical gifts at an early age, which basically means he was also a prodigy. He's composed a bunch of different music, from operas to symphonies to songs, you name it, he's probably composed it, but his most famous works are probably his symphonies. I have talked about the movement from his 9th symphony, so check that out, I'll link it right now. Unfortunately though, he died in 1904. Next to Dvořák we have the wonderful Florence Price, and she is one of the composers I had not heard about before getting this puzzle. She was born in 1887 in Arkansas, United States. This amazing lady is the first African-American woman to be recognized as a symphonic composer and the first to have a composition played by a major orchestra. I tried to find some of her works on YouTube, but not a lot of them are available. But I did find her 2nd violin concerto, and oh my god, that is wonderful. I really recommend you listen to it. I'll link one of the recordings I found. Sadly, she died in 1953, which means that in 2 years' time I'll be able to talk about her works. Definitely stick around for that. After Price we have our seasonal boy Vivaldi. He was born in 1678 and was an Italian Baroque composer. He's composed the famous Seasons and also a bunch of operas. He was not only an amazing composer, he was also a great violinist, and sadly he passed away in 1741. Next to Vivaldi is my favorite composer Rachmaninov. He was born in 1873 in Russia. He is the man behind several amazing piano concertos, and his symphonic stanzas are just divine. At the end of his life, he moved to the United States due to failing health, and 1 month before his death, he was granted American citizenship. Sadly though, he passed away in 1943 from skin cancer. Next up on the list is Edward Elgar. He was born in 1857 in Great Britain. I have to admit I don't really love his music. It's not bad, but it's not the best I've heard either. He was also technically a prodigy, composing his first piece at age 12. He composed his best piece in 1888, which is Salute d'Amour, and sadly died in 1934. Then we have Shostakovich, another great Russian composer. He was born in 1906, and during his career he had a few issues with the Soviet Union. Despite that, he managed to compose a bunch of great works, including some string quartets, which I really like. Sadly though, he passed away in 1975. And then we have Fanny Mendelssohn. She was born in 1805 and is yet another prodigy on the list. She is the older sister of Felix Mendelssohn. A lot of her works were published under her brother's name, but they were good buddies, so that worked out. She married an artist and had one child, and in 1846 she published a collection of songs as her Opus 1 under her own name, but sadly in 1847 she died of a stroke. Next up is Haydn. Haydn was an Austrian composer born in 1732. He is known as the father of the string quartet and the father of the symphony, and this is due to his contributions to musical form. I personally don't find Haydn's music that interesting. It's good, but it's not amazing. Still, he was well celebrated during his life. He sadly passed away in 1809. After Haydn is John Williams, the second Williams on this puzzle. He is an American composer born in 1932, and he's still alive today, thankfully. Some of you may know John Williams as the composer of Star Wars, and some may know him as the composer of Harry Potter, and some may know him as the composer of E.T. And all that music is amazing, honestly. I love John Williams' music. The part of his music I like the most though is his 5 Sacred Trees, the bassoon concerto. I would love to talk at length about that piece, honestly. It's truly amazing, and also the pun of the trees and the bassoon. Like, bassoons are made of trees, but the trees are sacred. John Williams is the only currently living composer on this puzzle, so props to him. Third last we have Brahms. Brahms was born in 1833 and he is a German composer. He is often mentioned as a part of the 3 Bs, which is Bach, Beethoven and Brahms. He was introduced to Schumann, who wrote an article about him which made him super famous. He definitely had a thing for Robert Schumann's wife Clara Schumann though, which I talked about before. And he even tried to dedicate one of his works to her. As a side note though, if Tuset by some really random chance is watching this, please perform his violin concerto for 4 million subscribers. Thank you! Oh yeah, and Brahms died in 1897. Next is the famous piano composer Chopin. He was born in 1810 in Poland and is one of the few composers that, in my opinion, have been able to combine something that's interesting musically to listen to with something that's technically difficult to play. And then I mean really technically difficult to play. His works are mainly solo piano music, but they are good solo piano music, so I'm not mad about that. He eventually took French citizenship, but sadly he passed away in 1849 at only age 39. The last composer is Claude Debussy. He is a French composer born in 1862 and he is sometimes seen as the first Impressionist composer. Debussy tried to reject the term Impressionist composer, but he's an Impressionist composer, so we're going with that. I've talked a bit about Debussy before when I talked about his work Clair de Lune. I'll link that for you right now if you want to check that out. But to summarize, his music is just amazing. He sadly passed away in 1918. That was everyone, so let me just point out a few small details that I really like. The swans next to Tchaikovsky along with the ballet dancer. The shark next to John Williams, which definitely is a reference to Jaws. The adorable piano between Chopin and Debussy. And lastly, just look at the background behind Rachmaninov. So I'll just summarize my opinion about this puzzle. You should totally get this puzzle. It's still available as I'm recording this. The puzzle motive is great, the quality is great, it's not super difficult to do, and the composers on there obviously are great composers. It's 1,000 pieces, but it doesn't take as long as other 1,000 pieces puzzles that I've done. And you're supporting a charity, so it's only good news getting this puzzle. I'll link to where you can purchase it down below in the description. So if you made it through all that, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you back here next time. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video and leave a comment on what you think about the puzzle as well. So yeah, I'll see you!